everyone. Welcome back to Bomber Banter. It is another week. Fiona's forecast for our Geelong game. We are playing them at the G at the fun old time of 4:15 on Saturday. I love that time. So, and family friendly, it's been painted. So hopefully lots of families get to the ground, even though I'm not sure it's going to be a family fun viewing game, but that's all right. Let's get stuck into the forecast. Hello, Solution.
Fiona, how are you?
I'm pretty good. And you?
Good. Yeah, I wouldn't take your kids along to the game next week. It's going to be a horror movie. It's going to be a blood and gore horror film. We do need to address last week's audio, by the way. So
we have to. I've apologised a million times for this.
We had an echo. I don't know why people are complaining. You got me twice. But you got double the fun. 2 times me. What could be better than that?
Absolutely. Exactly.
Now, the other thing people have been complaining about for weeks and weeks and weeks is the mask. And I think this is I've gone a bit Burberry today. This is the last mask I think we'll have, because you're only about 30 subscribers away from 1,000.
In a month and a half, yeah.
Yes. So anyone that watches this, if you haven't subscribed, get on, subscribe to Bomber Banter, and then live with the consequences when you see my ugly mug from next week onwards. But please, I implore everybody, get on, like the video and subscribe.
Yeah, exactly. If you have to create a couple of fake accounts, I wouldn't bemoan you. I wouldn't look down on you doing that and then subscribing. No, I have not done that. In fact, I probably should do that to get my numbers up. But, send it to your friends who are footy fans and definitely Essendon fans, obviously. But, it would be amazing to hit another little lovely milestone for the little channel. And then, hopefully only on the upwards from there. So,
yep.
All right, let's get stuck into the game. First of all, obviously, I assume that you were as happy. Well, we shouldn't say happy because we're going to be yelled at for accepting mediocrity and losses, but I'm assuming you were just as pleased as I was after the Carlton game.
Well, we did our podcast last night and published it this morning, and I posed the question, who would you rather be right now? This is what I'm going to ask of you, given you don't come on our podcast anymore, Fiona. You've dropped us like a hot potato.
Look, I'm sick of my own voice. People are going to be sick of me by the end of the week. They don't need to hear me on another forum, surely.
That's debatable. Who would you rather be right now, Carlton or Essendon? And, the game is what it was. Terrible first quarter. That's what I'm more disappointed. I'm disappointed in the first quarter. I'm not disappointed in the outcome of the game. But in terms of clubs right now, Carlton, Essendon, who would you rather be? Conclusively, we said Essendon. And I know we're biased, but objectively, when you look at the two lists, Carlton's window is shut. They had got some very, very good star champion players. They lucked out on that. Give them credit. They brought them in. It's good management, not just good luck. But the window's shut. It's barred. It's bolted. They're not winning a flag with this group. It's very, very sad for them. Not necessarily saying we'll win a flag, but I think our trajectory is upwards, and that's my take on the game and the season. I don't know what your thoughts are.
Yeah, I mean, to that question, it's no doubt objectively, given that Tasmania's coming in and their draft hand compared to our draft hand and our under 20 to 25-year-olds, the age demographic of our list in that space is miles above theirs. And you know what? They went for it. You got to do that. You got to get those big name players and pay them a lot of money. And sometimes it turns out and sometimes it doesn't. And I think the only way out of this for them to to still get a bit out of Paddy Cripps and Sam Walsh and Curnow is to trade some of their big name players, including Harry Mackay and TDK and to get some youth in that way, because they don't have a good draft hand at all. And not only forget the Tasmania element, but what about this year? Like, it's a disaster. Hawthorn have their first draft pick. So definitely looking to the future. If we can get it right, there's definitely more success for us, but they still have a little window to get the most out of Patrick Cripps, I think, and still some of their stars, but they're going to have to make big calls like Collingwood did with trading Grundy, Treloar. They got rid of some, quite a chunk of those big top line players to clear some salary cap and get youth through the door. Now, arguably it wasn't that much youth, but they still made some big calls, and Carlton just have not done that. And neither have we, to be quite honest. We don't make those big calls, but hopefully moving forward, we can.
No, and possibly the number one call they haven't made is on the coach. So long may he continue.
But you know what? They're the same as us. What are you going to keep doing, sacking coaches? Like, it's clearly not the issue. You've got to clean out the toxicity, and they haven't done that, whereas we have. So if you forget lists, look at management, look beyond the curtain. At least we've cleared out, we've dusted off the shelves. They've still got dusty shelves.
That's a good point. So projecting to the changes, obviously we've lost Duz, and, it seems like most people of the mind that was probably a good thing, probably needs a break. And it'll be 3 weeks when you consider the bye as well. So who do you think will come in, and why isn't it Sardis? Surely Sardis plays. He's got to.
I mean, it's not a like-for-like player, if that's what you're insinuating. But, no, I wouldn't. I would bring Liam McMahon in, to be quite honest. I would love to see another tool come in, and I think he's the most ready, to be quite frank. If Redmond is not going to get up for the game, I bring in Liam McMahon.
I think Redmond's out, isn't he? Isn't it?
Is he? Oh,
confirmed.
Okay. I don't know. I haven't seen it.
Oh, sorry. I thought he was out for a number of weeks.
Oh, I think we assumed.
Okay.
Just being Essendon and our injury woes this year. But yeah, okay, let's assume he's out. Yeah, I would bring in McMahon. I know that Shannon Neal for Geelong did an injury and he might not play, and he's their other tall forward. But I just think it's too much of an ask to leave just Jaden Laverty to Jeremy Cameron, and they don't have another big, tall, bulking forward. Like, they don't have another Tom Hawkins. So you could argue that maybe not. But I just think structurally we're just much better with a bit of height. And, when the ball's down there, maybe he can take a bit of the ruck and 2 metre Peter can stay home a bit more. It just gives you a bit more versatility overall. So I don't know. Yeah, it'd be great to see. But I'd be happy to bring in Sardis for Archer Day Wicks.
Or Hobbs. Just give him a go. He's I don't know how he played actually in the VFL last week.
I was told not great.
Okay, I wouldn't blame him if he dropped his head, to be honest. I just think the week before he came on as a sub, looked good. I just want to see him play, but anyway.
But I know you say you wouldn't blame him. I would absolutely blame him. I would say, who do you think you are? And I kind of would say that now to him, if he's doing that. And I don't have insight if he is doing that, but I would definitely say, this is not a new concept. It is not a new concept where players are being left in the VFL purely because they can't make their way into the team because of list spots. Every team has players like this, and I consume a lot of football and a lot of football content, and I could tell you the player from every team that fans complain about not getting a game. Binns is the one from Carlton that they whinge about that doesn't get brought in. It's not a new concept that you've got to fight and fight and fight until your time is ready to come in. And it's just, whether it's bad luck or, something else, he is not versatile. He cannot play elsewhere. but the midfield, inside midfield. And in this day and age, that's not really going to cut it. And you can't tell Darcy Parish and Caldwell and Zetterfield that you go elsewhere because we've got to get this kid in because he's going to crack the shits. I bite back. If I would bite back if there was conjecture that a player was doing that. I would really, at a spite, and just to teach them to turn their attitude around, I would keep them more in the VFL.
Look, I'm only assuming. Like, it might not have even been conscious. Just that inner disappointment of, what do I need to do? And then he goes back to the VFL and he's just not quite ready. Like, I'm only speculating.
But like, who like, and I pose this question to you and other people who agree with you, because there's heaps who agree with you. Who are you taking out to play him full time in the midfield? Because you can't rest him forward because he's a non-factor.
Yeah, I would argue. I would argue Hobbs is the one I'd leave out, because the added complication with Sardis is he'll probably go at the end of the year if he's not given a go. And then we just that's another Dodoro wasted draft pick, which was his specialty, let's be honest. The amount of misses far outweighs the hits. So play him in the midfield. And it's also not his fault he's just an inside midfielder. That was what was written on the tin when we drafted him. So why the hell did we fucking draft him then? Is probably the question we need to... I mean, again, we're blaming the guy who's left.
But the thing is, solution, what if all these injuries were happening in the midfield and not the back line? We'd be saying, thank God we've got Sardis. It's just pure luck. It's pure luck that we have depth in the midfield and not in the back line or forward line. It's what if we were bone bare in the midfield? He'd be playing every week. So it's just that we have depth in the midfield now, and you need depth. You actually need to have it there, because look where we're sitting now with no backs. I mean, this is probably an exaggerated situation with our backs, but it's just, it could very easily have been happening to our mids, you know?
True. But to answer your question, it will be Hobbs. I'd say, okay, we've seen what Hobbs can do. Again, love his endeavour. I don't think he provides that much. Let's bring Sardis in, let him play through the middle, maybe repurpose some of the other guys elsewhere like we have with Merritt. At least give him a go, give him a run for a period of time, 2, 3, 4 weeks, and just give him an opportunity. But anyway, that's just me.
No, it's a really good conversation, because it's been a big talking point during the week, and I think we need to discuss it. I don't. The solution is you play him on very limited game time, but then he spends half the time sitting on the bench. What is the point of that? Like that, if he can't go forward, can't be a dominant player forward or back. I know. I think it's I don't think it would be. The only issue with him leaving is that he has not a lot of currency because he hasn't played. So an argument would be, if we're not making finals, just play him to up his currency so we get something back for it. It was pick 5 or 6 or something.
Yeah,
that would be the argument. Just play him for his currency so we get something back.
Yeah, it makes me weep thinking about where we drafted him at. But
yeah, because if if he languishes in the VFL for the rest of the year, we won't get anything for him.
Yep. So moving on from Sardis, you bringing in a debutante.
Yeah.
Again, another debutante.
I just think he looks ready. He looked ready to me in the VFL. Granted, I only watched about a half, and I watched some highlights, but I just like the way. I mean, you can clearly see he's the most ready out of all of them. I like the move.
Who's that again? Sorry,
Liam McMahon. He's the 198-ish, 197-ish bean shoot forward. That was the Carlton captain, VFL captain. Was also drafted by Collingwood originally, but I think he could more than hold his own, to be honest. And again, I just think structurally, it's a much better call than bringing in kind of another mid. And whilst the backline held up beautifully, I think it was probably a bridge too far to ask. It's a bridge too far to ask them to go up against, your Blixarves and your your Reece Stanleys and your Jeremy Camerons and Patrick Dangerfield down there. I don't like that. It's already going to be pretty ugly. I think we need a bit more help, and I just think he looks okay to come in from the VFL. He's been in the system for a long time. He's probably a little skinny, but I think he's the most ready.
Any other possible changes?
Nah, not really. I would. Again, happy for Archer Day Wicks to make way, but and then you bring Sardis in and he's the sub, or Hobbs is the sub. I don't know. I'd be happy for that to happen too. But obviously, we know Duz is out. They've accepted the 2-week suspension, Essendon, and as you say, the bye for a third week. So, I guess it means hopefully Parrish has got another, a week of fitness under his belt, so he'll be able to. He was already very good in the middle, but Durham, when he's resting forward, gives us a lot as well. So it also means that Martin will get more midfield time, and we love that. So do you want to, do you want Sardis taking more midfield time than Martin?
Yeah, because again, what's the goal this year? The goal is draft picks, blooding young players, and being able to make informed list decisions at the end of the year. We know who Martin is. We got a superstar in our hands. Look, credit to Dodoro on that one. Maybe he had more sort of offbeat good picks than he did actual cracks in sort of the top 10 when he had an opportunity. But look, we know who Martin is. He's a great player. I'd love to see him play half forward, actually. I mean, I've got this image of Geelong just taking uncontested mark after uncontested mark in their defence this week, just mopping up. And Martin will scare them, worry them. They'll have to play a really good player.
If we do what we did in the first quarter against Carlton and Brisbane, that's exactly what they're going to do. They're just going to pick it off, take uncontested marks, take advantage of our smaller, when Peter Wright's not down there, of our smaller forward line, and they're just going to, if we bomb it long and high, it's exactly what they're going to do, because they excel at reading the play. They're so smart. Every single player on that list, and nobody's surprised by it, but they're just smart in how they read the ball. They're the best. They're the best at it, and this is across the ground, but particularly in the back line with De Koning and Henry and when Blixarves goes back there as well, and Guthrie. They're magicians. They just know exactly where the ball's going to be. So if we don't make it a bit chaotic and play the ball on the ground like we did, they're going to, yeah. And you know what? They handball the least in the entire AFL. Really? Does that surprise you?
It does. It does.
They handball the least, but they're very good at intercepting handballs, opposition handballs and opposition chains. So they're the most efficient with the use of their ball. So, and I thought it was interesting. It was interesting to see that they take an average of 13 disposals to get a score, and we take an average of 19. Okay. So to get any kind of score, we have to dispose of it 6 more times. Think of how much time it takes to dispose and how much space it takes for 6 extra possessions. That's a lot.
Could that also be they're just scoring more goals than us because they're better? So their ratio will be lower.
No.
Or are you saying that big score involvement had?
Yes. Yeah, so it only takes them an average of 13 disposals to get a score, where it takes us 19. An average of 19 possessions to get a score.
I don't want to zero in on meaningless statistics, but have we just divided the possessions by the number of goals they've scored?
No.
What have you?
That's counting every disposal. Someone's tracking how many disposals it takes for them to score versus how many disposals it's taking us to score.
But are you saying that we've held the ball 13 times 19 times prior to each score? I find that...
Yes. Well, not each score. It's an average.
Yeah, that seems too high to me.
But that's what it is.
I think whoever's reporting that statistic has just divided possessions by goals, would be
No,
my guess. I
no.
can't believe we've taken. So just think of a goal where we touched the ball 18 times before that consecutively.
That I don't know.
I don't even do that in soccer.
I don't know if it's consecutive. It'd be strange if it was consecutive.
Okay. There's a reason
I
we
can't.
don't talk about statistics on the
That's
Windsock.
right. No, but I saw that one. I saw it on, someone tweeted it. I saw it on Twitter and I thought,
Okay.
holy
Oh,
shit.
it must be
That's
true.
true. I shouldn't get my statistics from Twitter, should I?
Probably not. But that's okay.
Anyway, if it's
We'd all
wrong,
agree Geelong are efficient.
yeah. The point of me bringing it up was to say that they are so efficient across the ground. They're just so efficient, not just inside 50. They're efficient across the ground. And, but they're also still number one for tackles. So go figure. They're the least handball happy team, but coming first in tackles for the league.
Yeah, they're a well-oiled machine, that's for sure. But to
Yeah.
my original point, leaving some guys to make them accountable in the forward line, like Martin, could be an advantage for us.
Well, let's be honest. He's a weapon anywhere he goes, right?
But yeah, look, if only we could clone him. That's that James Hird thing of like you'd love him in the midfield, you'd love him in the forward line, you'd love him in defence.
Yeah,
Maybe
exactly.
not defence with
Anyway.
James. Smoking Joe, Sitting Joe. Who's doing what this week? I cannot remember.
I've got the sitting. I have no idea who I picked for smoking, but I know I've got the sitting. So who are you going for the smoking?
For Sitting Joe, I said Laverty, I'm pretty sure. Because the previous week, I gave him the smoking. I think he smoked. And I don't think he was a Sitting Joe this week.
I think it would be harsh, but given the circumstances. He was not great, but I think that's understandable.
He battled gamely. Who is going to smoke this week? All right, I'm going to predict a vintage Zach Merritt midfield game this week.
Okay.
I think with Durham out, even though he's not necessarily he's not a Zach Merritt midfielder, but I just reckon that we might put Durham on the ball. Sorry, put Merritt on the ball exclusively, or pretty much exclusively, and he just has a vintage game. I think he's due like a 3 Brownlow medal vote game, except it won't be 3 Brownlow medal votes because we'll lose.
Yeah. Okay.
He'll get 3,219.5 Crichton medal votes this round, or however they work it out.
Okay. That's a good call. Certainly could use it. Certainly would love to see it. I'm sure he's hating life at the moment where he is, but he's got to do it for the team because we all know he likes to have a big impact and he rates his performances very harshly. So, all right, I'm going to give the sitting Joe to a guy who was incredible against Carlton. He was very, very good and almost won us the game. Well, his goal put us very, very close, and I'm going to give it to Dersma. I thought he just works so hard. I don't know how he's just not exhausted 24/7. He just runs so hard and does so much hard work that, I just think he might be a bit flat.
Fatigue-related Sitting Joe.
Maybe. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Dersma. I don't know. First player that came to my head. So that's how this works.
He was good, wasn't he?
No reason. He was great. He was fantastic.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I think I can see it. They might even try and be a bit accountable on him, possibly.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. They might, and they should. They should put work into him. His work on the wing. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's a good call. So, moving to the game.
Well, the Houdini. Now, you don't like this award? Should we bin this award? You always forget it every single week.
The Houdini Award is aptly named because it escapes my memory every week. See what I did
So
there?
this is for the theatre. You forget it for the theatre.
Yeah, possibly. No, it's more just my early onset of dementia. Houdini Award. Is it Perko again? Probably. He would be dropped otherwise. He's got some mates.
Yeah.
I reckon every player in the first quarter who just fucking come out at the first bounce. That's when the game starts. A game. I know we're not great. I know football players are not Mensa Society members usually. They're not the smartest cookies in the jar. But there's actually 4 quarters in a 4-quarter game. You don't come out and play 3. So every player who didn't, and you know who you are, didn't start well, I really want them to lift this week. So they all get a Houdini. It's probably Perko.
Yeah, look, I will say, after I watched the replay, he wasn't as shockingly bad as I thought he was. He did have some good moments and he did push a bit higher up the ground and get involved. He still wasn't great, but he was probably better than what I thought he was. So I will give him that, but he's still not quite showing. He's not where he should be, but he wasn't as bad as I thought. So my reaction on the fan cams was that he was absolutely shocking and he wasn't quite to that level. But he would still win the Houdini, I think, if we had depth in that position.
Yeah.
He wouldn't be playing. So, yeah. Okay.
So
predictions. Oh, God, this scares me.
Well, we should stop. Pause for a second. Last 2 weeks, we've predicted floggings. I think you predicted even a bigger flogging than I did this week. Can we continue to eke out an honourable loss?
The difference with this game is that Geelong, and every Geelong team, but this one, we're playing this one this week, so we're talking about this team, they just spread the load so exceptionally that when I was analysing this game, I'm trying to find a weak link that we can hold on to. Like last week, I said, if we can get it forward of the ball, there's some weaklings there. There's some holes that you can pick apart. I can't find a link. I can't find a weak link here. Like I literally have tried, and today I was looking and listening and I'm thinking maybe there. No, there is just no weak link because they spread the load. They don't rely. They've got stars, but their B grades, their C graders spread the load. So nobody is a stardom in there. They're all stars. And they just do it the best. They really do it the best. And then to top it off, they have stars. Dangerfield, Jeremy Cameron, Ollie Dempsey, Brian Myers. Like it's just outrageous.
And then we know this is the traditional eviscerate Essendon fire umpiring game as well. We've got that bit to add on. How's the rush behind? I forgot to talk about it on the podcast. That only happens against us.
It really does. And I saw opposition people tweeting it. Opposition West Coast fans, North Melbourne fans tweeting it that it happened to Essendon last year.
Actual enemies. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. So no chinks in the chain this week. So whilst I said we were going to lose by 60 points last week, this I really think is going to be, I'll give him some benefit of the doubt, but I'll say 52 points loss.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. I can see us starting well just because we've been so...
Yeah, that's predictable.
The last 2 weeks. So we come out of the blocks fairly strongly, and I can just see Geelong's class just wearing us down. I can see lots of meaningless possessions going forward, lots of intercept marks from Geelong defenders, and them just being clinical coming forward. Laverty getting exposed. And I could see 45 points, I think, might be.
What they also do very well is they wear you down mentally. They lull you into this false sense of security, Geelong, where you break a few lines, you know, you get a few transition balls, you probably score, kick a goal, and then they lull you into thinking you've got some ascendancy or some momentum, and then they just go, nah.
Yep.
And they'll just bolt up the wing. Jeremy Cameron will be down in defence on a wing, like doing ridiculous shit down there, and and then they just bury you mentally. They let you think that you've found a chink in the chain, but then they don't let you go. They don't let you go all the way through the tunnel, kind of thing. They're just so well drilled, and they work hard. Like it's not that everything comes easy for them or they're lucky. They actually work incredibly hard for each other, and they're one of the best transition teams, definitely. But they're also one of the smartest teams, so they do as little work as possible. So efficient.
Well, 13 possessions per goal, apparently, although we're not sure how.
Yeah, I don't know. I think this is a good lesson. Don't get your statistics off Twitter accounts. I don't know who it was. It could be one of the really good Twitter accounts. Who knows? But
Could be.
yeah,
Could be. How can you tell though?
that is true. But in the future, all right, lesson learned. Since you've poked holes in that statistic, maybe that's just a lesson to stay in our box. Hey.
Yeah, or maybe one of the listeners or viewers, I should say, can enlighten us in the comments.
Yeah, don't be mean. Just tell us if that's correct, if that statistic is correct.
Yeah, in between abusing me for my audio, my mask, the fact I can't talk properly, whatever it else is, so just throw in some a statistical comment.
All right, thick skins, right?
Yeah. You ready for a couch question?
All right, let's do it.
All right. So, I had it up here. This one I've been saving because it might be my favourite one of the current crop. And It is Essendon related, by the way, so usually not football related.
In a while.
And I've got an advantage here because I've got a longer span of players to choose from and decades to choose from. Which former Essendon player would you love in the current side that would also suit the modern game? Which former Essendon player would you love in the current side that would also suit the modern game? So I would say you don't want to choose a guy that's like just retired, because not that they'd be high up on the list anyway. Someone who hasn't played in the modern era, I guess, or very recently.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. So someone who didn't play in the modern era but could.
Yeah, possibly. But that's not my question. I shouldn't add that nuance. Just which former Essendon player would you love in the side that would also suit the modern game?
I mean, I feel obliged to go with my main guy that made me fall in love with Essendon and football. And I think he'd do pretty well. Probably not in our current side because we don't deliver the ball all that well. So a lot of his leads would probably go to waste.
There's no McCurry to hit him up. There's no Michael Long. There's no...
Yeah. He's not getting the champagne service, that's for sure. But it'd have to be Matthew Lloyd. My beloved 18. I feel I would have to go with him, definitely.
See, I think that the problem with Matthew Lloyd is the modern game. So if you had all the players, he's a champion.
Yeah,
and he'd still be a champion. But where I'm going is, if you laid out all the players we could add to this team, if you chose Matthew Lloyd, you might not be getting the best player only because the modern era doesn't suit his position, if that makes sense.
What, full forward?
Yeah, because modern full forwards are limited by the amount of players around them.
But he's not a plugger looking, bulking, big, slow full forward. He's one of the more agile, would you say? Like,
yeah, by the way, Plugger wasn't slow. That was what's scary about him.
Right. I'm kind of imagining the big, bulking, ginormous.
Yeah. No, he wasn't like a Brian Taylor type.
Yeah. So that's why my thinking is that he would suit the modern. He would be okay, maybe not suit, be okay in the modern game because he's not. He's pretty quick on a lead. He's a bit more agile than some of them, and I still think there's room for good big key forwards. But he's we're deficient in a lot of areas, our team. So, but I think we're deficient in the forward line too, and another quality forward would just help Mr. Caddy and Mr. Wright out superbly.
So, we could have Dustin Fletcher at fullback.
Yes, true.
Imagine his 55-metre kick. Imagine Dustin Fletcher in the modern era where you can run off out of the square.
Yeah, where would the modern game? I'm throwing a question back at you. Where would the modern game get Dustin Fletcher?
It's superb.
No, but where would it trip him up? Where would the modern game trip up Dustin Fletcher? In what way?
I don't think it would. He's not a guy.
What were his deficiencies?
I don't think he'd have one in the modern game. Honestly,
so you're saying he was the perfect player. He had no deficiencies.
Look, in the modern game, I guess what I'm saying is the modern game suits Dustin Fletcher more than the game he actually played in, particularly in the first half of his career. Because in the first half of his career, he played against Tony Lockett, Gary Ablett Sr., Jason Dunstall, Tony Modra. Like there was a long list of full forwards who could manhandle him, who could,
and he's a good runner.
Put their arms around him. That's exactly right. Yeah. So I think he'd be helped in the contest, and his kicking, as I said, to be able to run off the line when kicking with kickouts after a point, and then deliver it 55 metres and hit a chest would be the ultimate weapon in the modern game. So I guess what I'm saying is the modern game would suit him even more than what it did. I'd still, man, if I had to pick one, I mean, I know people are screaming James Hird right now.
Probably.
I can hear them screaming through the screen. Modern game, like, absolutely suits him. He'd go wherever he wants.
Yeah, but he wasn't quick, right?
It was all up here.
He wasn't super quick.
It was all up here. He was tall though. He was deceptively tall and strong. Mm-hmm. And centre half forward James Hird, sort of pre his really bad injury. Just the way he read the play, just a genius. I mean, I'm tempted by Tim Watson. I mean, imagine Joe Watson that runs like the wind and kicks 50-metre goals on the run, left and right foot, after bouncing 3 or 4 times. And like in this team, in the modern era, I think you could drop Simon Madden. You could drop the 1980, mid-80s version of Simon Madden with the same fitness level into a team today, and he'd dominate. That's how good he was. So yeah, there's a number to pick from. I might even go Simon Madden.
Okay.
He would change this team. He would. I mean, he was the best ruckman in the competition for a decade by a mile. Winning all the hit-outs, 12 contested marks, 2-3 goals every single game. I mean, he was extraordinary.
Yeah, who's the closest ruckman in today's modern game to him?
I don't know. Who's the best ruckman?
Probably Max Gawn.
Simon was more mobile, kicked more goals, contested marks. Again.
Tristan Xerri is probably close.
Yeah, possibly.
Close behind.
Yeah, but he was if you remember Dean Cox used to get a lot of the ball.
Yeah.
Then add to that the contested marks and the goal kicking, and then add the hit outs. And Simon Madden used to jump off his right foot. No, I think it was jump off his left foot because he was a left footer, and tap with his right. And he had this really unique style that sort of set him apart. But then Tim Watson, wow.
I think if we imported Matthew Lloyd and Simon Madden into this team, I think we'd be doing all right. we'd be definitely not cheering for team draft picks, right?
Yeah,
Anyway.
Lloyd Fletcher as the bookends, and Simon.
You can't pick two. The question was pick one.
All right. That Lloydie would be great too. Lloydie would be great.
Yes. Yeah, I think he would do. I personally, unbiased call, I think he would do well in the modern game, but biased call is my first pick every time. Alrighty, Solution. That's another forecast done. We'll just take it. We'll take it for what it is this week. Don't expect. I know expectations have probably jumped now after 2 really good weeks performance, but maybe we just lower them for this weekend. Just this weekend.
Trust the process.
Yeah, exactly. Remember to trust the process. Don't be in chaos don't be in conflict with what is, and we'll all have a good time. And if you ignore all that advice, just come on the fan cams and have a vent. I'll be there.
Correct.
All right, Solution. Thank you so much. Take care, and I'll speak to you during the week.
Go Bombers.
Bye. Alrighty, Bomber Banter family. That is another forecast done. I hope you all enjoyed it. I will see you Thursday night for the live team selection show. I hope a few of you join me to chat through the changes. We'll have a bit of a chat some shit, and have some fun in the chat, and we'll go from there. And then I'll see you for fan cams on Saturday. Have a good rest of the week. Take it easy, and I'll see you Thursday night.